Hello everyone, Fresh Talks once again with you, bringing interesting subjects about the taxes in Portugal. I am Pedro Abreu, tax lawyer at Fresh. I'm here with Luis Costa, corporate and tax lawyer. Today we're going to talk about this curious case about the real estate capital gains for non-residents in Portugal. Which had a turnover recently, and we have a very interesting opportunity for all of you who are in this situation. So I guess, Luis, we first need to start exactly with what it is the backstory here. How did it come to be?
Thank you, Pedro. So the backstory is really simple. So up until the end of 2022, there was a difference of treatment in Portuguese legislation that established that resident taxpayers were taxed only on 50% of the gains realized with the sale of Portuguese located real estate, whereas non-residents were taxed on 100% of the gain. There was also another difference, but in this time beneficial, which was that Portuguese tax residents were taxed at progressive rates and had to aggregate the 50% gain with the rest of their income, whereas non-resident taxpayers were taxed at a flat rate of 28%. This issue, however, got the attention of several non-resident taxpayers and in 2007 reached the European Court of Justice with the Holman case. The court decided that the difference in treatment between Portuguese and non-Portuguese resident taxpayers was contrary to the Treaty of Functioning of the European Union. So it decided that Portuguese legislation had either to be amended or that the difference in treatment had to cease to exist. Now, as it sometimes happens, the Portuguese tax authorities decided to just ignore the decision. And so we've had several instances where non-resident taxpayers sold their Portuguese located real estate assets and were taxed on 100% of the gain at a 28% flat rate. Now, this obviously opened the opportunity for more people to go to court, and the Portuguese tax authorities started to collect the fees in court. So what really happens is that now non-resident taxpayers who sold property in Portugal and were taxed on 100% of the gain can recover 50% of the tax paid because these decisions established that only 50% of the gain was taxable, but the flat rate remained in place.
Okay, Luis, that seems quite promising actually. So it's a very interesting opportunity for everyone who's in the position. But now perhaps it's time to discuss in practice what is the framework that we are looking for. Who is this person who would go to court, who would dispute this kind of situation in litigation, and how do you believe the paths are open for them?
Okay, so as I mentioned, this was a difference in treatment that was established in Portuguese law until the end of 2022. So all tax assessments that were issued from 2023 onwards are already corrected, with the law being changed to include the 50% exemption for everyone, but the mandatory aggregation of income and taxation at progressive rates for everyone as well. Now, Portuguese law does allow for a request to review the assessments up to 4 years after the assessment is issued. So this means that assessments issued in 2021 are still open to be claimed back. So there is a huge opportunity here for everyone who sold property in Portugal with a non-resident status in either 2020, which has the assessments issued in 2021, although the clock is ticking and each day that passes we may lose an opportunity, and all the year of 2021, 2022. So we're very much closing the window of opportunity for people to claim back 50% of the tax paid on these capital gains.
So, Luis, now one thing comes to my mind is does a taxpayer necessarily need to go to court to dispute this kind of situation? Because as we know, and as it happens worldwide, courts normally takes a long time. It's an expensive procedure. Does Portugal offers any option in those terms that can bring some kind of efficiency for litigation like that?
Of course. So as I mentioned, the procedure under Portuguese law is called the review of the Tax Act. And so you can request it up to 4 years after your tax assessment was issued. Now, obviously, this is an administrative procedure, so it is filed with the tax authorities. So there's no express deadline for a decision, although Portuguese tax law does include a provision that says that administrative appeals need to be decided within 120 days, so 4 months. What this does is it creates the opportunity for the taxpayers who file these complaints to, after 4 months, initiate a court procedure, which is very fast. We're talking about 30 to 45 days, that basically results in a court order to the tax authorities to fulfill their duty of response to the taxpayers. After this, if the response is negative, we do need to go to court. However, in Portugal, we do have the possibility of going for arbitration in tax cases. Arbitration in Portugal is a very convenient procedure. First of all, the judges are not your typical judges. They are experts selected from a list of pre-approved people from the Center of Tax Arbitration. Then you have the deadline benefit. So an arbitration procedure has to be concluded within 6 months of its start. It can be prolonged for periods of time of 3 months, and you can have 2 instances of prolonging the deadline, but we're usually looking at a 9 to 12 months decision deadline. So in essence, you can have your decision in 1 year to 1 year and a half, and based on our experiences, it can be way less, because when you file for arbitration, the court sends a notice to the tax authority saying, well, we can proceed with the court case, or you can revert your decision and comply with what you know is going to be the outcome. And from our experience in past cases, the tax authorities have been preferring to not go to court, not have another defeat, and instead just issue the new assessment.
Great, Luis. It really seems convenient, seems efficient, and I guess it only increases the arguments that if one is sitting in this position, it really needs to look for a means of going to this dispute. But I guess those who are watching might be wondering right now, after all this explanation, all the paths that we have developed so far, talking about what really matters, what would be the real gain for someone who's disputing that? How much would they be saving compared to the tax bill that they already have and most likely already paid?
Okay, so as I mentioned, the result of these actions is that you will be only taxed on 50% of your gain, but the flat rate remains in place. This means that you get exactly 50% of your taxes back. You can still then file a claim to request indemnity interest for tax that was paid in excess and set with the tax authorities for a number of years. So the opportunity is very clear. You get 50% of your taxes back with a simple procedure that we take care of.
Wow, that seems like a major opportunity for those who are in this position. So if you have sold your property some years ago, perhaps you should consult with us, see if your situation fits this framework. And I do believe that it would be interesting for anyone to recover 50% of taxes on gains. Most likely, if the gains were huge, this could mean a lot. And well, it's an opportunity that it's floating there, and we can certainly assist you with this procedure. So Luis, anything else that we could say to our public in this moment before setting up the conversation?
Well, I would just say that the clock is ticking. As I said, you have 4 years, so anything that was issued 4 years before this date is open to claim, but tomorrow it may not. So contact us as soon as possible.
Exactly. So That was it for the topic today. I hope it was clear for everyone. The Fresh Talks always bring this kind of subject that it's interesting for those who are in Portugal, for those who are not necessarily in Portugal, as it was the topic today, but have some interest on the real estate here. If you need any assistance in terms of coming to Portugal in what relates to the legal aspects for immigration, taxes, corporate, and real estate, as it is also the case today, contact us and, well, see you soon.